Welcome back to Ticket Property, thanks to Moving Hub. I'm now joined by the Director of Master Advocates, Mark Errichiello. Mark, welcome.
Kris, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Mark, how are you coping through these unprecedented times?
Yeah, certainly a challenge, I think, for all of us. One with kids and family and running our own business as well. But I think we're adapting quite well. Unfortunately, main thing is everyone's healthy. Most of our community's healthy as well, and colleagues. So that's the most important thing.
How have you been communicating with your investors, your landlords, and obviously the rental market?
Yeah, look, fortunately, our business has adapted to technology quite early over the past few years. So a lot of electronic resources, like Vic Forms with REIV, DocuSign, Zoom, and video calls as well. So that's been great. And then with necessities, private inspections, private appointments too, with all the social distancing.
What's the biggest challenge when it comes to selling online?
I'd say selling and buying online. I know everyone's going mad for promoting virtual tours and 360-degree tours. I think, if you're someone that's likely to buy off the plan, you're already happy purchasing online. But something that's established, you want bricks and mortar, something tangible, to be able to actually walk through 360-degree tours. I think are really good to shortlist and maybe define the targeted people that are interested in buying, helping the sellers engage and the agents engage with the right buyers, and maybe do the private inspections with those groups. But otherwise, challenges are getting access and more listings, I guess, for the buyers out there, more listings that are actually suitable.
Given that you have been using the technology that everyone has to use today, do you think you had enough time up your sleeve to get it right?
I think, understanding the technology, everyone's adapting a bit more, but time to get it right was okay. I think it was more of a shock of how quickly it happened with the lockdowns and notifying clients, notifying prospective new clients as well that were still wanting us to meet with them. So there was a lot of communication going out at a quick pace.
How are you dealing with potential hardship claims from tenants? Have you got an influx of those given the area that you're in potentially?
Yeah, look, we have, and I've got family in other sort of traditional real estate networks as well, and other colleagues. There definitely was a crying out. Some people that hadn't lost jobs yet, but I think that fight or flight theory and panic, listening to the news, it becomes quite intense. The anxiety levels for people were getting quite intense. But I think the government's doing what they can, navigating new territory here with all the claims. I think one benefit is everyone's in it together. So if there are, a stop on rents, the issue would be where do they get the subsidies from and how does it flow through to the real estate agencies and the landlords as well? Because some landlords, yes, they might be able to put their mortgages on hold if they can claim that they're in hardship with loss of income from the tenant. But some are actually self-managed retirees, or that's their livelihood, their income. They're not relying on a mortgage, they're relying on that income coming in. So there's going to be a bit of difficulty, I think, in the next few months, the aftermath of that. And then I guess communicating with tenants, there's been a lot of resources like REIV have been fantastic, Consumer Affairs as well. There's specific applications with a process that tenants can follow. And we've been asking them, trying to use as much compassion as we can, but if they have tried to apply for access to some subsidies, whether it's a loss of income or suffering if they're small business owners. But the issue is also that there's a pipeline and a waiting period to get access to that support. So in the meantime, people will be at a loss with the rental income and landlords are suffering.
When the real estate agency, just like yourselves, has to go and do some form of inspection or maintenance request, what's your view on how much the agent needs to do and getting a tradie out to the property?
Well, one thing is everyone's accepting or dealing with this in different ways. Some tenants aren't wanting to give access just for pure health and safety reasons. Some tradespeople are still ready and eager to get out there and do work, but I think the process first is, if we minimise access, keep that social distancing with all the government directives. We've been communicating with tenants where we can get them to complete, say, like a routine or maintenance inspection, maybe a video, photographs, get as much information as we can, whereas in the past we may have gone out on site as well and inspected. But unless it's vital, let's use technology now to keep everyone safe. And the tradespeople will need to use their own management of health and safety in their businesses too.
From your perspective, if there's a requirement for the agent to visit the site, and based on all the information you've received from the REIV and Consumer Affairs, what is the tenant, or what rights has the tenant got to say you're not able to come to my property?
Well, I think if it's an essential service and it's going to keep the property well maintained, they're definitely their own human rights, and we've got to use a bit of common sense. But there's no part of the Act written for this crisis that we're going through and this health pandemic. So we need to work together. Everyone's hearing that in the media too, but most tenants, if they're reporting an issue, they're working with us to get it maintained. But there is certainly, even on the sale transaction side, there's some that are concerned where there's already transactions completed, pending settlement. Bank valuers might need to get inside. Buyers are waiting to do their final inspections, which many of the time they leave up to us as buyers agents as well, if there's a good trust and relationship. But there's some tenants that are saying, well, I just want to get my information together and see if I actually have to let you in. So there will be measures with appropriate notice, service of notice of entry. VCAT Online have those tools, and if there's a legitimate reason and everyone's going to maintain, sanitary requirements, social distancing, I don't see a big concern, especially if the landlord has a legitimate claim to access, or the seller, or as well if the tenant's claiming maintenance, they're usually cooperating if they're wanting work done.
So a bit of common sense, Mark, around this.
Yeah, I think there will be. Consumer Affairs have been providing a lot of updates on best practice and what interpreting legislation from state and federal government. So I think it'll get easier each week. I think we need to do what's necessary right now, and I guess cool our jets a little bit, because the people that are suffering, that have lost income. And immediate loss of income. If others have got some savings or can hold through this market, I think on the other end it'll be okay.
Mark Errichiello from Master Advocates, thanks for coming on Ticker Property this morning.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much for having me, Kris. Good to speak to you.